Hey everybody, this is Mr. Ainsworth and we are in Math 90. Yes, I said big time Math 90. Here we go. We're going to cover part 1 of the chapter 3 review in here and we're going to get to work. So take out your pencil and red pen, follow along with me here. And again, this is a video, so if I go too fast, don't worry about it. I want you to pause whenever you need to and press play and use that rewind button too. Pause, play, rewind. It's a video, so use the technology. Go at your own pace. All right, and do a good job and show all your steps. Okay, show all steps here. That will definitely be a good thing for you to do. All right, so let's get started here. This is 154 equals negative 11 times n. So it's times. I just put a dot there. It's important that you know what's happening between the coefficient, the negative 11, and the variable n, because our goal is to solve for each variable here. And so if you know that things are being multiplied right here, you always want to do the inverse. All right, the inverse of multiplying by negative 11 is dividing by negative 11. All right. Also, if you have a calculator, whether it's on your phone or a TID4 or just simple scientific, take it out, use it. All right. If you can't do things in your head, no big deal. Just use your technology to your advantage. Okay. So if you don't know what 154 divided by negative 11 is, no big deal. Let's use the technology. All right, so we know it's negative because positive divided by negative is negative. However, what's 154 divided by 11? Okay, if you want to input negative 11, you can. Negative button's right here. All right, every calculator has a negative button. All right, and you get negative 14. All right, so we have every, in algebra here, every equation has two sides. And whatever you do to one side, you do the other side. So notice how I divided both sides by negative 11. All right, on the right side, negative 11 divided by itself is 1, and 1 times n is n. Bring down the equal signs, and again, 154 divided by negative 11 is negative 14. Okay, which makes sense because negative 11 times negative 14 is 154. That's how you check your work. Okay, you take your answer and you substitute it back in. I'll show you. Negative 11 times negative 14, that better be 154. And it is. See, so you can check your work. Next one, number 3, I assign the odds. So I'm just going to do the odds right now. All right, I see x minus 7 equals 12. So we do the inverse. The inverse of subtracting 7 is adding 7. Okay, and notice that I'll divide the equality into parts, left side, right side. Notice that I added 7 once on the left, once on the right. It's balanced. Okay, these cancel to 0. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0, and you get x is equal to 19, which makes sense. If you take 19, substitute it back in, 19 minus 7 equals 12. Makes sense. Now the next one's a little bit more challenging. All right, the first thing we need to do is distribute through the 3. Right here, you got 85 equals negative 2 plus 3 times this quantity here, and you want to distribute through and clear the parentheses. Okay, so you get 85 is equal to negative 2 plus 3, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 21x. 3 times 7x is 21x. All right, we're going to combine like terms. These are like terms right here. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So I get 85 is equal to 1 plus 21x. At this point, you want to cancel out the 1, and it's being added. So you do the inverse. All right, you subtract 1. And you get 85 minus 1, which is 84, is equal to 21x. All right, at this point, 21 is being multiplied by x, or x is being multiplied by 21, so you divide. If you don't know what 84 divided by 21 is, okay, if you don't know that, you simply input it. All right, 84 divided by, and then enter in 21, and it should be 4. So x is equal to 4. All right, number 7, same idea. You want to distribute through the 7. So distributing through, you get 14a here. Let me start off with the left side, 133. So 7 times 2a is 14a, plus 7 times 3 is 21. Now, our variable a is being multiplied by 14, and then you're adding 21 to it. So you want to add the opposite first. Okay, do the inverse, subtract the 21. That's called adding the opposite. The opposite of a 21 is a minus 21. Those cancel, and you get 133 minus 21, which is 112. And that's equal to 14a. Divide by 14. Again, use technology if you need to. All right, divide by 14. and you get 8. Okay, so A equals 8. Now, I said in the beginning that this is a pause and play video here. Use your technology instead of just copying down and watching me. If you need to slow down, pause the video, rewind it, and listen to it a couple times, do it. All right, try to get the process down because all of these all have the same process. You just got to get good at it. Like this right now, you have to distribute. I've already done this 3 times in a row. Problems 5, 7, 9, all the same idea. You get negative 8 plus a negative 24v is equal to a negative 152. So what do we got to do? So got to cancel out the 8. Now negative 8. The opposite of a negative 8 is positive 8. So these cancel and you get negative 24v is equal to something. So what is this? Well, if you can't do this in your head, use your calculator, enter in negative 152 and then add 8. And you'll see you get a negative number. You get negative 144. Okay, you got to divide that by the coefficient here because this is negative 24 times v. So the inverse of multiplying is called division. So you divide. Okay, and then you figure it out. So you got negative 144 divided by negative 24. I didn't, let me start over here. Negative 144 divided by negative 24. Got to make sure you use the calculator correctly here. And it should be a positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and you get positive 6. So V is 6. Okay, looking good so far here. So let's continue. Again, distributing. So we're going to distribute through here. So you got negative 40 on the left. Negative 8 times 9 is negative 72, plus negative 8 times v, which is just a negative 8v. And then, again, you start adding the opposite. The opposite of negative 72 is positive 72, so add it to both sides. And if you don't know what 72 plus negative 40, if you don't know that, enter it in. You start off with either number, it doesn't matter. 72 plus a negative 40. Now that's the same thing as 72 minus 40, so it should be 32. So we get 32 here is equal to negative 8 times v. And negative 8 times negative 4 is 32, so it should be negative 4. So when you divide by negative 8, v is equal to negative 4. 32 divided by negative 8 is negative 4. Okay. Keep trucking here. So here we go. Trying to solve for x here. And on this one here, we got 16 equals negative 4x plus 4. So I'm going to add the opposite here. The 4 minus 4 is 0. So you get 12 here is equal to negative 4x. And just think about it. Negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. So x better be negative 3. If you want to show how to get that, divide by negative 4 and you get negative 3 equals x. Okay. Now on this one we need to do 2 things. We got to solve it first and then we got to graph. Okay, solve and then graph its solution. So 2 things. So I'm going to take it down here so I can work on it. 2x is greater than or equal to negative 14. I divide it by 2 because it's the inverse of multiplying. And I get x is greater than or equal to negative 7. So x can be negative 7 or greater than it. So you find negative 7 on the number line. And go solid here because negative 7 is a solution because it could be equal to it, and all values that are greater than negative 7 lie to the right. Okay, let's try some more. So on this one's a little bit different here. So let's take it down here so we can work on it. X divided by 12. Notice I said divided by 12, not over 12. Okay, there's no over. There's division here. Okay, and it's less than or equal to negative 12. All right, so the inverse of division is called multiplying. So we want to multiply both sides by 12. So notice that I just split the inequality. I multiply both sides in red. Now, this is 12 times x divided by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. Okay, 1 times x is x, which is less than or equal to whatever this is. And a negative times a positive is a negative, so you get negative 144 here. So when you graph that, here's your reference point right here, negative 144. It's going to be all numbers including negative 144 and to the left because x is less than or equal to, less than negative 144, and all numbers smaller than that number lie to the left. All right, so you're going to take all your skills of equations and apply them to inequalities. Okay, so let's take this down here. We got 2 times the quantity 5n minus 7 is less than negative 84. Distributing through, you get 10n here minus 14. 2 times 7 is 14, and that's less than negative 84. I'm going to add the opposite here. So the opposite of a minus 14 is a positive 14. These cancel, and you get 10n is less than negative 84 plus 14, which is negative 70. You can check it. Negative 84 plus 14 should be 70. Excuse me, negative 70. Okay, and then it's 10 times n. So the inverse of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So you get n is less than negative 7. So you got to graph that. So you find negative 7, which is right here. All numbers less than negative 7 don't include it, so it's open. And then all numbers less than negative 7 lie to the left. So you have to graph it afterwards. Okay, next one here, a little bit more challenging it looks like. So you got negative 115 less than or equal to, distributing through, you get 30 here. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times negative, or just bring down the minus sign. 5 times 3p is 15p. And then you got this minus 2p. Now you got to combine like terms. These are like terms. So before you do anything, you got to combine them. So a minus 15p and a minus 2p. Okay, if you add the opposite here, you're going to get a negative 15 plus a negative 2 is a negative 17. So what I have here is 115 is less than or equal to 30 minus 17p. Just think about it. If you're subtracting 15p, let's say p is pepper, right? If you're subtracting 15 peppers and you're subtracting 2 more peppers, that means you're subtracting 17 in all. Okay, so look at that right there. That's how you combine the like terms. All right, now 30 is positive, so go ahead and subtract it. 30 minus 30 is obviously 0. Cancels out to 0 right there. 115 minus 30, is that 80? 5 maybe? I don't know. Let's find out. So 115 subtract 30. Whoops. That's 85. So 85 is less than or equal to negative 17p. Now, you gotta be careful here. You gotta divide by negative 17 and switch the inequality. Okay, remember switch the inequality. That's what it's called when you divide by a negative. Okay, and so 85 divided by negative 17. So 85 divided by negative 17. Okay, that's negative 5. So negative 5 is less than or equal to p. Negative 5 is less than or equal to p, which means p is greater than or equal to negative 5. Just switch the order there. Why does that make sense? Well, let me just say this. If 3 is greater than 2, that means 2 is less than 3. So if you switch the order of an inequality, or switch the numbers, you got to switch the inequality too to keep it make sense, right? I'll do another example. If 5 is less than, let's say, 9, that means 9 is greater than 5. I mean, just think about it. Switching the order, you better switch the inequality. Now, graphing, all numbers greater than or equal to negative 5. Negative 5 is here on the number line. It includes negative 5 and all numbers greater than it. Okay? All right, 23, write the inequality. Well, if x is to the left of negative 1 and it's open here, okay, then x has got to be less than negative 1. It's all real numbers less than negative 1. All reals less than negative 1. Okay, then so remember x is all reals. Ooh, okay, and compound inequalities. Cool. This is going to be cool. We've done this before. Now let's take this down below so we have more room to work on it. Negative 50 less than or equal to negative 10 plus 8x. All right, and that's less than 46. Now this compound inequality has 3 parts. All right? It has a left, a middle, and a right. Whatever you do to one part, you do to all parts. So our whole goal is to solve for x right here. And it's being multiplied by 8. Look at that. 8x means 8 times x. And then you're adding a negative 10 to it. So the first thing you do is you add the opposite. So the opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. And notice that I'm doing it on all three parts. All right, it's got to be balanced. Okay? Negative 50 plus 10 is negative 40. That's less than or equal to 8x less than 56. 46 and 10 is 56. Now remember what I said earlier. This is 8 times x. So what you do is the inverse. You divide by 8 on all three parts. Negative 40 divided by 8 is negative 5. That's less than or equal to x here, which is less than 56. Excuse me. 56 divided by 8, that's 7. Sorry. And so remember what this means. So let's write it out in English before I graph it. This means all reals right here. Okay, all reals. All right, between, that was the key word here, between, all right, negative 5 and 7, negative 5 and 7, comma, including the negative 5 because of the equal sign, but not including 7. Including negative 5. That's what it means. So what you do is you go find negative 5 and 7 on the number line. So let's do it. So I see negative 5 here. I see 7 here. So you find them on the number line, negative 5 and 7. And then let me see, you're going to go closed. You're going to closed here because of the equal sign here. So let's go closed at negative 5. You're going to go open. So this one's closed. This one's open. Why? Because it's less than, not less than or equal to. All right, so you go open at 7, and then all numbers between are there. Okay, so x can be anything between negative 5 and 7, including negative 5, but not 7. Okay, not including 7. And that, my friends, is how you do it. That's part 1 of the Chapter 3 review. All right, and this Mr. Ainsworth, I hope that helped you out here. Remember, you can listen to this again. All right, I'll produce another one later in part 2 to help you guys out. All right, make yourself proud. All right, and do your homework and do it right. Okay, and I also, by the way, gave you the answers. The answers are right here, so you should have checked your work as you went through it. All right, I'll see you guys in class. Take care. Bye-bye.